Good morning. Hand today's ace king. Pulls to me in the hijack. I open raise. Pretty standard open raising range. Fairly tight. Big blind calls. Big blind's playing 29-14. His VPIP is 39%. From the big blind, he calls 2 bets 52% of the time. His attempt to steal, his call steals 33%. So I think he probably calls and raises steals a little bit more liberally. I could expand his range. I'd give him a 25% because I'm not technically in a steals position. I'm in hijack. I think if I was on the button, he might be calling with a wider range, but here we'll tighten up a little bit, and this might actually be a little wide, but we'll go with it. He's got a nice mix of Broadway cards and so forth. So the flop comes down Queen Jack 5. Queen Jack with 5 of hearts. That's gonna hit major parts of his range. He's got all of those. He's got many more of those than what I have. He checks. I think this is a hand where if I bet here, he's probably going to call. Yeah, he does have a bunch of hands that miss. But I think if I bet and he calls, we're going to be in some major problems. So I think he's probably checking 100%. His donk is 0. What about us? I do think we can bet sets and 2 pairs. Queen Jack, probably our overpair. I think top pairs when we start have to pay attention to being a little bit more cautious. So when we look at betting some of those hands, I think the other 2-card backdoor flush draws that we could bet as kind of like a bluff could be like ace 10 maybe. I think we're betting our straights. Maybe like 10-8, 9-8. Some of these that don't really have opportunity. We're hoping that he just basically folds if we bet it. That's I think we're betting those just to kind of offset these premium hands that we're going to have. So I'm just going to go ahead and take those out. So we don't have to worry about them. So I think gut shots are probably also, for the most part, we're not going to have that backdoor with them, but I think we're checking those open-ended straight draw. There's really, hold on, whoops, let's get that. I think we're betting those, and probably checking some of our gut shots. So I think we're checking behind 57%. You can see we've got a bunch of hands there. We're going to say no made hands here too. And yeah, X the open-ended straight draws. And I think we X those. All right. So I think that's what our checking range is going to look like. And again, it's just because I think he's going to be calling. And, especially for our hand here, we've got backdoor flush draw and we got a gut shot. If we bet, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to fire a second barrel. So, because of that, it's like a one-shot deal. If I bet, what do I think he's going to call with? And we can do all of these. I mean, you look at top pair, middle pair, pocket pair below second card. Probably folding those. I bet open enders, gut shots, call. We're right there with middle pair plus. We're at 60%. I don't think he's folding enough. So we do see the turn. 7 of spades. That actually works. I mean, that would have hit our, matched our hand. It would have allowed us to fire a second barrel. But again, I don't think he's folding that much. And for a second barrel, if we look at his range that he's continuing with, he's not going to fold his flush draw. He's not going to fold his open ender. I don't think he's going to be folding his top pair. His middle pair, maybe. maybe he folds, but again, when you look at it, that's at 62% again. You know, it's making it at a stretch. So once we checked that flop, villain bet out, and he actually bet 2/3 pot, or a little bit bigger than 2/3 pot. What is he doing that with? I think he is doing this with a range of hands. I don't think sets and 2-pair are probably going to be doing that. I think that's a little too high, too large for sets and 2 pairs. Top pair, probably not. I think what we are looking at is something as kind of like a bluff. So we're going to have to X these. I don't think he would bet that big with the top pair. I kind of, if he bets at all, I see him betting, you know, maybe half pot or so, just to encourage me to call. I sense that this was a play to get me to fold. So maybe pocket pair below the second card is going to bet. So I've got something like that, 62%. But if we break it down into groups, you can see that more than half of it is a bluff. I've got flush draw, I've got overs, I've got the gut shot. I need 30%. I do think I'm getting 30% equity here with my call. So I think with that bet, I think I'm going to be raising a set. So let's see here. I'm raising sets. I think top pair, I'm probably just going to call. Middle pairs, I think calling. Pocket pair. Weak pair actually is calling kind of as a bluff catcher here. I think we're calling flush draws. I think we're going to call gut shots. And playing with the gut shot is if we miss, we're definitely going to be betting here on the river to try to take it down. I think if he checks the river, I think that's a pretty strong sign that he had a draw himself. We're going to look for like low cards. We're going to target. I think that's pretty consistent with us slow playing, or not slow playing, us hitting this board hard and just hoping to get paid. All right, so you can see that we are ahead big time. Jack of hearts, this would be a great time. If he checks, we can bet as a bluff here. He checks, and I think we could bluff, definitely bluff, because at this point I think he's got nothing, or maybe ace high. It could have a weak pair that he's scared of, but you can see it's definitely weak. Now, what kind of hands are we going to be betting? Let's talk with nothing first. I think we're betting that as a bluff. Our ace highs aren't really betting as a bluff. I think if we bet as a bluff, we're betting those because we're hoping better aces fold. And then our value hand would be 3 of a kind. I think top pair, weak pair, we've got showdown value. If we bet and we get called, good chance that we're going to be behind. So we've got kind of a decent mix, about 2 to 1, a little more than 2 to 1 value to bluff. I don't think ace king qualifies as a bluff. Yeah, we missed our spade, but I think we have, we're probably ahead of anything. If we bet, he's going to fold all his misdraws, and we got showdown. We've got showdown value here. We would bet if we've got something weak, if we don't have that ace. So we did check behind. Villain shows king 4. Is king 4 in his range? It's not, because I didn't have him starting. But king 7 was definitely in his range here. So we had king 7, king 8, king 9. King 7 would be a pair. But we had those kings, and it's quite possible that if we expanded his range to include that, I think he also has all of those hands as well. They all get here. He took it as a bluff. If we go back to our jack, no made hands. Again, he's attacking it. So I think what we can do is something like this. Defended from big blind versus king 4 clubs. Yeah, and then he I don't know if it's probe isn't the correct term. I think probe turn on. Let's move this out of the way and get our jack spade. Oops, let's do queen club, jack spade, 5 hearts, 7 spade. All right, so I think I played it okay. Definitely, this is one where if I bet flop, he probably folds. If he calls, 7 does give us that second barrel, and I think at that point we bet he folds. How likely are we that we're going to get a second barrel card? I don't think it's a whole lot, so we have to not really make that c bet at a high frequency. Other thing you could see is this fold to c bet's actually pretty low, 20%, 30%. I don't expect him to be folding. I didn't expect him to be folding a whole lot, and in terms of folding to a turn barrel, doesn't really do that. We need a few more samples for the river, but I think this plan was played okay, and we didn't have the exact hand because we didn't think king 4 was in his starting range, but we had other similar hands in that range, so I'll call this a win. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, look tomorrow for another.